last 24 hours. Powered by Yiddish24, provided to you by The Click.
Agitavach, Chevra, how are you? Today we're sitting, breaking news obviously, as you can imagine, it's epic frum. We're sitting big time. We're sitting here with a guest. You probably know him. Those of you who watched my Yiddish show for years now know Shragi. Shragi is a political analyzer. I call him the Chassidische Ben Shapiro. So now, Ben, if you're watching it, yes, kudos to you. But here is the report for today. For all of you to know, on Edge, we come out every morning here and we give you the breaking news. So let's start the segment, shall we, Shragi? Ready? For what happened? Shragi obviously has his new WhatsApp status. Do you want to tell everyone your WhatsApp status, where to follow if they want to follow for more news?
Sure.
It's called On Point. What is it called, Shragi? Tell everyone. Tell the listeners.
It is on point, and the idea of it is that it's on point.
It's on point. Make it silent, because they want to hear what you have to say. Make it thing silent. It's okay. It's nothing happened. It's a live report. Okay, perfect. So On Point is the status. He told me now.
The concept of it is there's a lot of status out there where, in order to really know what's going on, you need to just think deep. You have to understand. I'm trying to make it simple to the point. Like, you read it, you understand it, you move on. What is important, you see. What's not important is not there, and that's it. That's basically the concept.
Exactly. So on Edge News is in support of this channel very strongly, because obviously I'm not on WhatsApp and he is. That's his goal. We just do we're a live TV. This is what we do. And Shragi joins me every here and now. We do a lot of almost twice a month. We do this. Now we're gonna probably do some more. We'll see. Breaking news especially. Anyway, so a special report, obviously. Yid Alafuda today, and it's Matzah Shabbos Zucher. Now, again, my name is Gershy Schwarcz, and this is Shragi Stern, and I'm your host on Edge. Let's jump into it. Okay, now 2 weeks ago...
One thing that we forgot to do is to actually give them the number where to follow.
Oh. All right, the number where to follow you'll see in the description below in YouTube, okay? I have the description below. I'll point out the link. So those of you, please like, share, and subscribe my channel, and also go follow Shragi's channel On Point, which is I'll give you the WhatsApp links below. Okay, now you all want to hear what happened. I also want to hear what happened. Okay, I know what happened. 2 weeks ago, I made a wild prediction, Shragi. Shragi also, we spoke about this, and Shragi doesn't like predicting things. He's like Ben Shapiro, like I said. He doesn't like predicting things. I asked him, what do you think? What do you mean, what do I think would happen? I don't know what's going to happen. I can tell you what happened now, based on history. I can give you, right, Shragi?
Correct.
This is your way of analyzing things. So he's a very...
It really depends what predicting means, meaning...
Right.
You could look on news and based on the news just try to assess what could happen next.
Exactly.
But prediction in terms of like, I predict in 2 weeks from now this and this is going to happen just based on, I guess so?
Right.
What's the point?
Right, exactly. There's no point. I don't think there's any point in this, and that's why we're doing this. Again, I haven't started the news yet because you already know what happened, most of you. Why should you... my channel's open here, but we're doing something new here. I thought about the English channel, doing it every morning. I mean, I could do it, but my Yiddish channel is much bigger because there people really don't have access as much as you guys do. So what we're going to do is, I'm not saying that you guys do. I'm saying if you came to this channel, you found me on YouTube, you probably have a little bit more access than those who don't, right, Shragi? So
Most likely, yeah.
So I spoke with Shragi about this, and I decided we're going to do this thing where we're going to come on once in a while and give you some our perspective. We're going to touch on a few subjects. On a round, we're going to quickly talk about it, and then we're going to talk about this new video that made the news. People are scared, especially Tyler Oliveira, right?
Yes.
Just discuss this thing. Shragi has very interesting points about this, and we want to make it. We want to present it to you guys. All right, let's jump into it. Oh, it's been a long Shabbos. Anyway, so I made a wild guess prediction. Shabbos Shkulim. I made a prediction that the U.S. and Israel are going to attack Iran on Matzah Shabbos. The only problem is I didn't bet for it. I didn't make any money.
Okay. And based on what?
Based on nothing.
Exactly.
Just a feeling, right?
Okay.
So guess what? I was right. Anyway, so let's start with the biggest.
Don't do it again because next time you will be wrong.
Why is that?
You're not right every day, you know what I mean?
Exactly. I'm not going to do it again. No, I wouldn't have said it. I didn't say it online, by the way. I didn't say it on the news. I said it personally to my wife. I was sitting by the table at Shabbos Chamudik. I said, I feel Shabbos is the day. That's what I feel like. I don't know.
Okay.
Anyway, the 28th, I said, and it's the 28th today. All right, so let's start with the biggest piece of news.
So no one knows that you did?
No one knows, no.
Okay, so I did
no,
too.
My wife, my wife testified. She told me.
Okay. Anyway, to the news.
It's fine. No, but I did tell you last week. We sat
Correct.
here. Yeah.
You did.
All right. Enough of that. I didn't make any money. What's the point? Poly market exploded. How much money did they make? People won a ton of money there. Anyway, we'll talk about it.
A lot of money, yes.
Yes.
And a lot of people lost a lot of money too. But
I know, because they predicted no, right?
Correct.
Okay. The Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. My father-in-law asked me to pronounce his name right. The Iranians really, like a lot of Iranians, his name is Khamenei. I'm joking. Ali Khamenei. It's not Khomeini. Khomeini is the first one. He took over in 1979, and Khomeini took over in 1989, on my year when I was born, by the way, 36 years ago. All right, now, he's dead! He's dead! Toit! Anyway, here's what happened. The United States and Israel have launched a massive full-scale war against Iran. 9:30 a.m. local time, American and Israeli fighter jets began bombing and targeting Iranian military bases and the country's top leadership. Now listen to this. Now, Israeli officials say Khamenei was killed when they dropped their 30 bombs on his private compound in Tehran. He was reportedly holding a meeting with top aides when the strike happened. Now, Shragi, before we continue further, what happened exactly there? Do you know any of the aides who were there? What exactly was the plan? Why did they strike now?
So, first of all, this all started before we go to Khamenei,
Yeah.
That's the way?
Yeah, Khamenei, yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
It all started, I think it was around 1:15 a.m. Israel time, which is it's around 8 o'clock here.
Okay.
Israel started it. It wasn't
They
America.
started the attack?
Yeah, they started
Really?
the attack.
Okay.
Basically, it was very similar to last time. Last time, the 12-day war, they said that it's a preemptive strike because they had intelligence that Iran was planning to attack them. It was basically the same concept.
Right.
There was a very short alarm that rang through Israel.
A tiny, a small alarm,
yeah.
okay.
It's like a warning that
Just to alert the citizens, I guess.
everybody should know, something is coming.
Right.
And but the difference this time was last time America joined in a few days in. This time it was literally within the first hour. America joined. Now,
how come America
most of the strikes happening. What?
How come America didn't start it? They did
Probably the idea of it is for Trump to tell his base that it's not what I started.
Just in case it fails.
I support it.
Just in case it fails.
That's not the point.
Okay.
And I'll say another thing.
Yeah.
Trump always. He does not like risk. He doesn't like to take a risk. Meaning, if there's a big chance that American troops are going to be injured, killed, he probably wouldn't do it.
Right.
So, what is the most risky part of such operation?
Right. Exactly.
Most risky part is taking out the air defense. Meaning, the beginning, the first hour, things could go
crazy
terribly wrong.
Yeah. Exactly.
So, most likely that's one of the reasons why he chose Israel, because you do the hard part, and when everything is clear, you have total control of the Iranian airspace.
Right.
Just call me in and I'll help you. And
so let's continue the report, and we'll talk about this soon. Okay. So basically, he reportedly held, was holding a meeting with his top aides, Khamenei, when the bomb happened.
About this, just one other thing, because the original question you asked me was about Khamenei.
In English, they call it KHAMENEI.
I'll take it as a compliment that I cannot pronounce the name of such.
It's okay.
Of the human of our dog.
Where were you born, by the way? Where were you born? Tell the listeners who you are. A little bit about yourself, just a little bit, in 2 seconds. You want to tell them?
Like what?
Like where you come from, originally. Come from Iran? I'm kidding.
No.
Someplace a little bit similar to that. I'm kidding. I'm joking.
Ask the question, I'll answer. Right? You know what I mean?
Shragi, where do you come from? Where were you born?
New Square.
New Square. She was born in New Square. And where do you live now? You live now in
Spring Valley.
In Spring Valley.
Yes.
Nice. Right next to me. Very nice. So Shragi has been doing this for a long time. He's been analyzing news for, the longest time I know, because I know him for a while already, for a couple of years, and he's been running a channel called Politische Notizen on Kol Mevaser in Yiddish, where he is basically, if you listen to him, he sounds like Ben Shapiro in Yiddish, obviously. All right, so now, what did you want to say about Khamenei's? So he was obviously holding a meeting with his top aides while the strike happened. What exactly can you tell me?
So the biggest question about that is, if you would have asked me 3 days ago, do I think that he's going to be killed, he's going to be targeted, my answer would be no.
Right.
Meaning,
why?
The biggest question in, we had the same question in Venezuela, yeah?
Right. Oh, yeah. Exactly.
What is the plan afterwards? Till now we spoke about, is there going to be attack? It's not going to be, now it happened. Once the attack is done, which is, by the way, also interesting, we'll get to it a little bit later, but how long this is going to take, I think this is going to be very, very short. I think in the next 2-3 days, this is all done and over. That's my
the regime
opinion.
is done, you're saying?
The war is done. Whatever the outcome is, the outcome is.
Really? Interesting. That's a prediction you're making. It's a safe prediction.
It's not a prediction. It's based on a lot of stuff, and we'll get to it shortly.
All right, fine.
But the point is, it's very interesting. My assessment would be you kill all the powerful people in the regime and you leave the leader first. When this ends, there should be a leader.
Right.
If not, there's chaos. Yeah.
Right.
So
correct.
The interesting part is that it will be interesting to see who is going to be the new leader, who is actually going to control Iran.
Right.
30% of Iran are in support of the regime.
Right.
Around 70% are against.
Right. So 70 against 30.
Without a leader, this is basically civil war. Basically a disaster.
Right.
They are armed. We're not talking about. We saw what happened. Yeah,
Right.
with the protests.
And obviously now with what's going on right now, according to reports, a few reports say that the people of Iran are obviously way more capable now to access secure sites, which was opened for them with the bombings. So they're going to go and get weapons and help out. They're going to defend themselves.
Again,
That's going to probably happen.
The big question is, who's going to be stronger, the 30% or the 70%? Now, obviously, plain logic, you would say probably 70% would be stronger than 30%, but you have to understand that
they don't have the tools.
The 30% who support a regime who did not have a problem literally to kill people for no good reason,
Right,
they're going to be much more aggressive than normal people.
70% are normal.
Correct.
Yeah, they don't have the killing in them. Exactly, you're very right. But you know what? Hashem runs the world, and just like we saw the mouse of Haman, Purim, like it turned around. All the Jews went out and killed like hundreds of of these chevra. It's interesting to see that he was killed at the same time, and it's Persia, it's Iran, it's unbelievable. Anyway, he was reportedly holding a meeting, like I said, with top aides. Iranian media also confirmed that 4 of KHAMENEI's family members died in the blast, including his daughter, right?
Yep.
His son-in-law and his grandchild. I don't know who he was, but anyway, who else was killed? So the country's defense minister, his name is Aziz Aziz Nasirzadeh. If I don't pronounce it right, who cares if I didn't pronounce it right? Anyway, and Ali Shamkhani. Oh, this guy, I waited for him. Honestly,
by the way, this is one of the...
It's a personal celebration. Yeah, this guy here.
Yeah. Parts of Iran's strategy in terms of attacking, there's a lot of things. Yeah, they have the ballistic missiles, they had the threat of nuclear, sleeper cells, all which I think...
This is Ali Shamkhani. Okay, no.
Which I think a big part of the whole sleeper cell idea is probably nonsense, doesn't even exist.
It doesn't exist, you think? In England and America?
I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but they can use it as a threat no matter what they do or don't have, because you don't know, again, I don't know, but I would guess the intelligence know much more. But one of the things they do in terms of when anything happens, like to respond, is the names that they're giving for all the generals.
The names, exactly.
It's literally you struggle to just pronounce one name.
Exactly.
It's like they're putting you in a tough spot. Anyway,
like Sha'ali Khamenei, Shamkhani, Sha'la.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Ali Shamkhani, this guy he served as his closest national security advisor, and he was the head of, and also the head of Khamenei's military bureau was also killed, along with Muhammad Pakpour. I don't know if you know who Muhammad Pakpour was, but he was a guy. I don't think I have a picture of him. Maybe I do. No, I don't actually. But whatever. The point is that he was basically a guy that always held very top security advisor meetings, and right after his meetings, something happened in the world. There was always something happening. That's what I looked at reports about this guy. Anyway, there's a lot of interesting things. 14 IRGC terrorists, a top commander for the Revolutionary Guard, was also killed. Now, this was the largest military flyover in the history of the Israeli Air Force. How many planes does the Israeli Air Force have today, by the way? Just thinking about it. How many airplanes do they have? Is there
I don't have the exact number, but a lot.
Right, exactly. They have the biggest in that region, more than Saudi Arabia, I would say. I believe so.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. Now, during the mission, which Israel called Operation Roaring Lion, Shragi called 200 Israeli. We know they have 200 now, because 200 Israeli fighter jets hit more than 500 targets across western and central Iran. They severely damaged Iran's air defense systems and ballistic missile launchers. I hope they found all of them. By the way, what do you think? You think they found all of them?
Absolutely not. Like just an hour or 2 hours ago, they were still sending rockets. So obviously they didn't.
Rockets? They sent rockets.
Ballistic missiles. Obviously, ballistic missiles.
We'll talk about that soon. So now I have the report here. So at the same time, the American military launched nearly 900 strikes from land. Then afterwards, like you said, according to your timing, they launched 900 bombs from land, sea, air, and sea in just the first 12 hours of the war. It happened again. Our time, morning, when we went to Shachris this morning, listening to Shabbat Zucher. So probably by the time we stumped our foot down, that's when it happened.
Yeah.
So almost, yeah. So depends what you haven't.
Exactly.
So basically, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth called it Operation Epic Fury. I'm kidding. Anyway, he said that the Iranian regime had their chances, yet refused to make a deal. And now Well, now they are suffering the consequences. He promised the military will completely destroy Iran's naval and missile production capabilities. Completely. That's what he said. Now, they have the capabilities, right? Think about it. America has the capabilities of doing this.
Obviously.
Yeah.
Obviously they do.
Yeah, the most powerful military in the world.
If they want, they can take over Iran from the map. But yeah.
Yeah, exactly. They just have to decide. Reports now say, this is the interesting part. Okay, now all you've been thinking, why did they start the strike now, right? And why didn't they do it in the time that they actually scheduled to do it? I don't know when it was, but we all know that this was not scheduled. I think it's also part of the story.
So first of all, I think when it comes to operations, it's never scheduled.
Right.
Meaning, every 10 minutes there's new intelligence, new assessments, and everything changes very, very quickly.
Right.
When this all started, I think it was Thursday night, when the protests were still ongoing, there were a lot of reports that attack is coming tonight.
Right.
There were reports from Iraq that they heard fighter jets flying,
Right. Exactly.
A lot of airlines canceled their flight. Something was happening.
Something was happening.
Yeah, something was happening. Again, I'm not convinced that there was a strike scheduled like
today.
That this was actually the reality. There's a lot of different reasons why they should send fighter jets to collect intelligence, to test the routes and so on and so
they
forth.
Have to prepare themselves.
Exactly. But the point is that it could be that there was a attack scheduled, and for whatever reason they got new intelligence that now's not the time. I don't think saying the word like it was scheduled is the right way to frame it.
Right.
But there's obviously a certain time frame, a certain plan. Okay, we're going to try negotiations for 4 weeks, and after 4 weeks we're going to do X, Y, and Z.
Exactly.
And that whole concept that people keep on saying a lot of time, that Trump, he decides when he decides, he doesn't even know, he didn't make up his mind, is absolute nonsense. To think that the President of the United States is just sitting and now's my mood, attack, so just go attack. It doesn't work that way. Right. Trump is very good in making you think that he doesn't know.
Exactly.
The unpredictability. You should have to figure out. But the point that I wanted to say was point that I want about scheduling.
Oh, the schedule.
There was a report. There was a report, I think, in the New York Times, if I'm not mistaken, that the reason why it happened, it was scheduled for actually now when we speak for tonight.
Exactly, for tonight. Not the
but they got intelligence that there's a meeting taking place in the compound of KHAMENEI.
Right.
KHAMENEI again, whatever.
Yeah. That's where he was.
There's a meeting with all the top generals, all the people on the list.
Let's
the
get
target
them all.
list.
Let's get them all.
They decided if we can do it 24 hours earlier and save a little bit missiles, that we shouldn't have to send one here, one there. Let's just do it 1, 2, 3.
One shopping bag and all of them
they
together.
dropped
30 and 900, I guess. No, 500.
No, so the 900 was
500
all over Iran.
Yeah, 30
just on the compound.
On the compound of KHAMENEI, yeah. So now with
today,
that, go ahead.
Somebody asked me, like, is it confirmed that KHAMENEI is dead? He heard certain reports. Iran is denying it, and blah blah blah.
Of course, they're denying it. Yeah.
Such operation, such a risky move.
Yeah.
The only time you take the move is when you are not 99, 100% sure that this guy is going to die.
Right.
If there's any chance he's going to survive, you just don't do it.
Right. Exactly.
It reminds me when Israel struck Qatar. Right. Yeah, it was Qatar. Yeah.
Yeah, Qatar.
You remember the Hamas leaders? Yeah,
Hamas leaders. Yeah. The Israelis didn't want to do it.
And there was a whole debate afterwards if it was a failure.
Mossad, sorry, yeah.
If it was a failure, wasn't a failure.
Mm-hmm.
My personal opinion is that no, it wasn't a failure. They didn't really want to target them.
Right.
The official narrative that was
then given
right, yeah, was that Israel tracked them with their devices.
Right.
Where they are, and they went out to Allah to
pray.
Talk nonsense to him, and that's why they were not killed. It doesn't make sense because when Israel really wants to kill someone, they don't target a room.
Right.
They take down the building. Okay. They take down everything.
Right. Exactly.
When they tried to kill Nasrallah in the leader of Hezbollah,
like a few buildings around it went down. Like everything.
Cars were flying from the power from the.
I wonder what happened here. By the way,
it doesn't work that way. Like we tried to send the missile into a fridge and they were not in the fridge. That's not the way how. So I think it was intentional. I think they didn't want to target them, but they did want to send a very clear message, and we did see progress afterwards. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
After that, the rest of the hostages, a lot of things happened. Yeah,
right.
And so
the pressure was on.
So to the point, I think again based on reporting, it was scheduled for tonight. was moved back 24 hours because of good opportunity that
Right. They got intelligence. And speaking of, we'll tell you the intelligence that was received actually was from none other than Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia privately pushed the United States to launch
Saudi Arabia
this
is
attack.
I don't know when to talk, so you tell me.
No,
But
tell you.
Saudi
Go ahead,
Arabia,
go ahead. No,
Saudi
now's a good
Arabia
time.
it's very interesting because they are very similar to a lot of Arab countries in the region. For example, Qatar.
Yeah.
Qatar, and by the way, Tucker Carlson.
Tucker Carlson. We'll talk about him soon. Oh my
Tucker
goodness.
Carlson, by the way,
Yeah.
again, if he's paid by Qatar, that answers the
Maybe
question.
they didn't pay him
But
tonight.
he also has a very similar thing, meaning the Arab countries play. They play for the world one thing, and they are
Doing another
not that thing at all. They are
Yes.
totally different.
Yes,
And
yes.
same goes with Tucker, for example. Yeah,
He's also the same
He
way.
pretends to be stupid. He pretends to be like, I don't know. I'm just asking questions. Or Candace Owens. They
Right.
know.
They know exactly.
They are in this industry for years. They know exactly the
And
answers to everything.
Tucker is celebrating
Not only that, they were on that side. Tucker
Right.
before he started with his nonsense.
Exactly. It was exactly that. He was paid by Fox. He was paid by Fox News.
Candace Owens.
Yeah, same thing.
Candace Owens went when Trump moved the embassy to Jerusalem. Yeah,
She was celebrating it.
she was there.
She was there.
Yeah,
She was there. Really?
yeah, she was.
I didn't know this.
Yes, she was there.
Wow. Okay, let's go. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
So yeah, just to finish this point.
Yeah.
So Saudi Arabia, for example, played the game as if they are against attacks.
Right.
That we have to try to solve this with diplomacy in a diplomatic way. Behind the scenes, they were
Right.
totally on board, and I would say even to a certain extent more than Israel. They really wanted this to happen.
Yes, I know that. Saudi Arabia and Qatar,
One of the reasons-
Qatar and the UAE, all of them.
Saudi specifically, and
Yeah.
one of the main reasons is Saudi hates the Houthis in Yemen. Like on a next level.
Oh, that I know.
They fight it a lot. Yeah, just lately.
They just fought recently. They had a whole.
And who is funding the Houthis in Yemen?
Right. By the way,
Iran. So they wanted to get
Iran
rid of this. Just
Ayatollah for once and for all.
yes.
That's it, and it's good. It's good that we're there. But again, the idea is, if you look at it in a broader scheme of things, the whole Middle East right now is on spilkes, on edge. The whole Middle East right now is literally like falling. It's falling to its knees right now. They're noticing that this doesn't work. Islamic jihad does not work.
So yeah, the strongest part of this whole situation has nothing to do with what is actually happening on the ground. It's the messaging that this sends for the world.
Yes.
The games
ISIS,
are done. There's no games.
ISIS
and by the way,
is
I don't know
gone.
if you remember,
No.
but what did I want to ask? It's so interesting, when it comes to technology, it can freeze sometimes.
Yes, it freezes.
When it comes to those developments, sometimes
the person
human
freezes.
it's the only time, human
But it's okay, it's fine. We're doing a
remind
live.
myself- I'll remind myself
while I'm
shortly,
talking. Exactly. Yeah. Well, this is a live report. All of you know it's live. We're streaming it right now. We're not editing this, so obviously you can imagine you're having a conversation with us. All right, now let's jump into it. So basically, like I said, Saudi Arabia was the one who pushed for it. President Trump says that the heavy bombing is going to continue as long as necessary.
Obviously, you start talking and I remind myself.
I knew it. You see, that's why I said it. Let's continue.
Finish,
yeah. So basically, he was on your point. He said it's going to happen in a few days. It's going to be over. He said he's going to fight as long as necessary. That means he has enough power there. Well, we all know he has enough power. We've been reporting it that they should be shipping there tons of weapons. A friend of ours, by the way, who is actually, he said that their cousin is in the special forces in Israel. He reported that on Friday. He said that he was sitting in Ben Gurion Airport and he said that I'm standing right now next to stockpiles of U.S. bombs and missiles, covered in blankets right next to me. He says in the warehouses lined up with F-16s, F-35s in Tel Aviv, Netbag. He's telling me that this is not games. This is not just storage room. We're not a storage container. He said.
On that point, I was debating a lot of people.
Yeah.
Most people actually disagreed with me.
Yeah.
That Israel is going to start that. Most people believe that America is going to start it.
Right.
And that was one of the very basic. That's a problem. A lot of times people they skip logic because there has to be something complicated. Sometimes it's just basic. Just make the basic calculations and you'll know what's flying.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
You know what's flying, literally.
Yeah, what's flying. Why would the
exactly.
U.S. send an aircraft carrier? Right next to Israel? Refueling airplanes, F-22s, bombs, if Israel is not going to start this.
Exactly.
A lot of people believe that Israel is not even going to be involved in this.
Exactly.
To me, it was fairly obvious that this is going to be something
100%.
that Israel is going to start. But
okay,
let us go back to the previous point.
Yeah, go ahead.
You asked me last time we spoke on the other side of the aisle in Yiddish.
Yeah, Yiddish, exactly. Yeah, those who understand Yiddish can go to our Yiddish one. We're gonna have a Yiddish one, the same one.
You asked me why would Trump do it?
Yes.
They're killing people. Okay, a lot of countries are killing people. Sudan, they're killing people. Like, why Iran? What?
Yeah, why Iran?
You remember what my answer was? My answer was one line. Peace in the Middle East. Trump is busy for years about peace in the Middle East.
Before
That's
he was
his
president.
slogan.
Before he was president. I remember, I remember.
In his last term. Yeah.
Before his last term.
And I asked you, like, what is the biggest struggle for Donald Trump when it comes to peace in the Middle East? Who? The answer is Iran.
Right.
That's why he's doing it. Yeah, he's doing it because he has he has a plan. He's accomplished a lot when it comes to Israel, Hamas. A lot of people disagree. We can have a separate conversation at a different time.
Right.
But at this point, most of the places he made progress. The only place that he didn't make progress was Iran and Russia, Ukraine. But it's not in the Middle East.
Let's not ruin the party.
Let's not talk about it. Yeah, exactly.
No, right now we're partying. The Israeli media also sang like
and the interesting part is that Trump sent out a message when he confirmed that KHAMENEI is dead.
Yeah.
And the last thing he said, the last few words of his message was, this is going to continue as long as needed, whatever, something like that.
Yeah, as long as needed, he said. That's what it was.
Until we reach peace in the Middle East.
Yeah, as long
Just saying, it was interesting that
until we reach peace in the Middle East.
This is his view, this is his agenda.
And I really hope he gets that agenda because that's what we all want, right? He's
never gonna get it 100%, but getting peace in the Middle East 80% is better than 30, but
like, it's not my place to say in the news, but it looks like Mashiach is coming, like everyone says. Every time this happens, they say Mashiach is coming. I'm joking. I'm trying to say that Mashiach is on his mamish. This is it, my friends. You can't look at it differently. Puras, the Haman was in Puras in Iran.
It's definitely history in the making. It's unbelievable.
Exactly. I said before, it's epic fury. It's the same story, just different actors this time.
No, it's so obvious. Like if you think about it.
You're right.
For example, Kamala Harris came out with a message against the war. Trump said
right before, right? Yeah. I know.
No.
Erev Shabbos, I saw the post.
Now. After she came out against it. Yeah, she said that Trump said he's never going to start wars and he's starting wars, blah, 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 blah.
Oh, I think I'm reporting it here. I think so. I've got it here. I've got it on my list. Let's go through that, the Kamala Harris, because I've got more questions about that. Mamdani as well. Mamdani also came out. Best friend of Trump, and he came out against it. Anyway, he called KHAMENEI Trump. Let's talk about Trump. Trump said in this post, he called KHAMENEI, well, he started this post, KHAMENEI is dead, in big caps. That's how he started this post on Truth Social. He called KHAMENEI one of the most evil people in history. Trump urged, and he gave the State of the Union, his address, he gave his address. He called most evil people in history. Trump urged the Iranian military and police to stop fighting and join the citizens to take back their country. They won't, he said, stop fighting because we're going to kill you.
Hard to disagree with this one, but yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Iran is inside Iran. State media finally confirmed that the deaths of the declared 40 days of mourning, right? So basically, but reports say many regular citizens took to the streets to celebrate. In other words, they declared there's going to be 40 days, and there's going to be 40 days of mourning.
That was the genius part of the American military. They killed the people that you would mourn for,
right?
And the people who would mourn.
Exactly. So there's no one to mourn.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Basically, all the events were cancelled. In response,
celebration. Yeah.
Exactly. In response to the attacks, Iran fired about 300 ballistic missiles and drones at Israel. Thanks to air defense systems, well, the Iron Dome and the Iron Beam.
Thanks to Hashem,
thanks to Hashem. That's what they're saying. That's the news. The news writes like that. We say thanks to Hashem. They were all shot down, but shrapnel did fall in central Israel, including Ramat Gan, which is next to Bnei Brak, Petach Tikva, and Bnei Brak also.
Yeah, I have a brother living in Bnei Brak.
What did he say?
He told me he went out on his rooftop
on Shabbos, and he found.
And he saw explosion, things flying.
Wow. Anyway, so tragically, one woman was killed.
I shouldn't have said it because he should have been in the bunker, but
exactly. Why was he out there? Your brother, Anyway, tragically, one woman.
He went to check on the neighbor.
Yeah, exactly. I know the bucher.
I'm sure.
A bucher in yeshiva.
You got to be down like Havschis.
Yeah, he's a bucher in yeshiva, or he lives there married.
Oh, married.
They're married. Oh, okay, fine. As the Israelis having the extra blit, they could just jump out and do things like this. One woman, Hashem Yinkedumon, was killed, and more than 120 people were injured. And Baruch Hashem, they have medical
I'm not 100% sure about it, but I saw a report, and again, cannot confirm that this woman that was killed was not an Israeli and not Jewish. But move on.
Okay, interesting. Iran also fired missiles at the United States. It's still sad to hear that a woman was killed, a citizen, and a regular person. Iran also fired missiles at United States military bases and allied countries across the region, including Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Jordan, and the United Arab Emirates, UAE, and Kuwait, and as well Bahrain. Now listen to this. In Dubai, an Iranian missile slammed into a hotel, killing one person. In Bahrain, missiles hit a radar dome and an empty warehouse where at the headquarters for the American 5th Fleet, but officials say, well, they were obviously empty. All of them were there. Say military operations are running normally. Nothing happened. Back in the United States, several far-left politicians, now we're talking about that, like Kamala Harris, right, are obviously condemning the war. Let's start with the first one.
And a lot of right-wing
people as well. We'll talk about that. Yeah, yes, of course. Well, Tucker Carlson for first, right? Let's start with the first one. Can you all guess his name? It starts with an M. Or a Z. Meir Zoharan Mamdani. Oh,
Trump's friend.
Trump's best friend. He called it a catastrophic escalation in an illegal war of aggression. Sure. Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. It goes in order, by the way. You start with M, then you go with A.
Who wants 10 kids?
C. Yeah, exactly. What are we saying?
Who wants 10 kids?
Who wants 10 kids? Yeah, exactly. Complained that the president's dragging American into an unlawful war. Representative Ilhan Omar, you guessed it right, also attacked the president, accusing him of starting a war without congressional approval. My friends, I tell you, these guys, they are nothing more than just cheap words. That's what they are. Tucker Carlson, speaking of cheap words, he's loaded with Qatarian money in his bank account, and they probably gave him a very strict message today. Tucker, you gotta condemn the attack. If not, we're not paying you your next paycheck. So he went out there and said, the attacks are absolutely disgustingly evil. That's
I would say it a bit differently.
What are you saying?
Not you must. They sent him a check and he sent out the message. He was paid for this too. But yeah.
This is very, very good, yeah.
Which is interesting because think about it.
Mm-hmm.
Just 2 months ago, there were the protests, They killed, again, there are all the numbers out there, but Trump says 32,000 people,
Yeah.
Where's the message from Tucker?
That's
not evil? It only gets evil when you take care of bad people. That's very interesting, the logic.
He didn't get paid. That's it.
Yeah, I guess.
So there you have it. Anyway, this is the latest updates, the latest news, everything you need to know in one place. So thank you all. I would thank you. Shragi, you want to add anything else? Any other interesting pieces that you found about this? So it's still developing, you're saying?
So yeah, obviously it's still developing. There are two small things. So first of all, I started telling you before about Kamala Harris. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
She came out again. So just try to think what would have happened if Trump would lose the election.
Exactly.
And it would be Harris. Like unbelievable. You said like everything is a sham, which is obviously, which is obvious. But
right, exactly.
If you think about just the relationship between Trump and Bibi, where they're taking the world on a ride. Bibi said right after October 7th, we're gonna change the Middle East forever. Yeah.
Yes.
Think about he's saying that statement, and Trump loses the election.
Right.
It's unbelievable. You just see clearly like how Hashem
operates and runs the world from the.
He brings the leaders who should protect the Jews, and it's mind-boggling.
Right.
That's point number one. And point number two is just I said. When we started, that I think this is going to be very short.
It has to. Purim parties are starting on Tuesday.
I already answered it on different questions, but Donald Trump never operates in a way, especially with today's politics and his base and taking the risk of upsetting his base. But Donald Trump tries to rewrite history. One of the most popular lines that anytime anybody talks about war comes up. Is what?
Right.
But Iraq. Well, Trump tries to rewrite history, showing that we have a military, we can use it for good reasons, and not make the mistakes we made in the past.
Right. Exactly.
This is what he did with Venezuela, and this is what he's doing now with Iran. And Trump, based on anything and everything he did in the past, is 1, 2, 3. He's a 1, 2, 3 president. There's no 3 months war.
I want to know something. What did Putin say about this attack? Did you check on what he said?
I did not. Not sure if he made any public comments on it. He is dealing with his own war, so
I know, but
I don't know if he has time. But,
I wonder what China and Putin said. I actually want to know.
China's obviously not happy at all about it.
China's not happy. Why? They made a deal now recently with ballistic missiles. I would double check what happened. I actually.
And Russia's also not happy because Iran provided them with a lot of drones.
A second, to Iran. War right now. Let me see if there's anything about this today. Russia condemns. 9 hours ago.
Obviously condemns.
Yeah, so that's the news. Here you get it. Russia.
But by the way,
minutes ago.
Putin is also getting a nice message here.
Slams U.S. and Israel over bombarding. Listen to this. Sorry. Sorry, didn't mean to do this. Obviously, Iran. So what happens is, Russian Foreign Ministry spoke Maria whatever on Saturday, issued a formal something. What did you do? The denunciation of the joint U.S. and Israel operations airstrikes against Iran. characterizing the military action as a pre-planned and unprovoked act of armed aggression in a high-stakes diplomatic thingy. They said, we were just talking. The Omani leader, also the one who was the negotiator, was also condemning it.
He was very disappointed that,
Yeah. And the same thing is, what does China say about this? We just have to change one word. Putin's reaction and Xi Jinping's China's reaction.
I can tell you...
You can tell me before seeing it, 9 hours ago. How the world is reacting.
China calls, now go to the other one. China calls, now go back.
There's no here. It says United Kingdom Prime Minister Keir Starmer chaired a meeting. Well, he also sent his planes up in the air to defend themselves. Obviously, China. We'll go to China. 1 second. Government emergency. What's it called? He called his government and the country weighs response to attacks in Tehran. Whatever. They're not saying much. The UK government on Saturday said in a statement it does not want to see further escalation to a wider regional. Okay, fine. Whatever. Who cares about that? Russia condemned it. China foreign minister spokesperson said on X that Iran's sovereignty, security, and territorial integrity should be respected. All right, that means that they agreed.
In a few days from now, it will.
Okay, fine. Exactly. You think that's what they meant? Okay, France.
No, that's what I mean.
Let's see. In addition to, by the way, I want to ask you something. Why did Bibi Netanyahu fly over to Berlin to hide himself there? Why was he scared?
He wasn't on the plane. Why do you think he was on the plane?
So what do you mean? Like, did you just send this plane there? For what reason? Just in case.
So last time before the 12-day war, the same thing happened. And actually, it's interesting because in the past few weeks, it happened a few times, which could mean that there were a lot of times that it was planned, like it's going to happen. And
they have 3 planes.
I'm not totally sure exactly, but I think the concept is just for safety precautions, if they're trying to target, or I would say maybe to confuse people, like where he actually is. But I don't think Bibi was in Berlin. No, I don't think so. Right.
He wasn't in... Okay, he's not in Berlin. I mean, Berlin has a good relationship with Israel. We all know this. Anyway, so France said it's dangerous for all something. Macron said on X in a post, originally in French, that the escalation is dangerous. And the European Union, Ursula von der Leyen, the European chief executive, said in a statement on social media that the EU constantly promoted diplomatic efforts aimed at addressing the nuclear and ballistic programs. Okay, whatever, shtism, who cares? We call on all parties to exercise maximum restraint to protect civilians. Okay, fine. Canada Prime Minister Mark Carney.
You can just make a list of all countries and say the same statement. It's going to be valid.
Exactly. And he says supports the U.S. He supports the U.S. acting to prevent Iran from obtaining a nuclear weapon. Okay, Mark Carney, good to him. Australia's Prime Minister, we all know what he said. We support the United States. Obviously. Pakistan is in a war right now. Pakistan is in a war right now with the Taliban, with Afghanistan. And he said unwarranted attacks against the Islamic Republic of Iran. I guess they are for them. They condemned the United States. Unbelievable. India is in it. We urge all sides to exercise restraint and escalation. He was just in Israel now. It's interesting. Yes. But he didn't say it. The foreign ministry said it. I wonder what Modi actually says. Deeply concerned at the recent developments in Iran and the Gulf region. He's concerned. Spain Prime Minister said... we reject unilateral military action by the United States and Israel. Oh, Spain, who cares about them? Saudi Arabia! The Kingdom of Saudi Arabia condemns and denounces in the strongest terms the blatant Iranian aggression.
And when the camera shuts,
and they're
dancing.
Exactly. No. They're saying they condemn the Iranian aggression.
Oh, the Iranian aggression.
Yeah, and the flagrant violation of sovereignty of the UAE, Bahrain, Qatar, Kuwait, and Jordan. Unbelievable. They actually came out again against it. UAE was hit by strikes from Iran. They were hit. Yep. A neighbor. And they said the UAE has also underscored that it retains its full legitimate right to respond to these attacks. I guess they're also going to respond now to Iran. now they're chachmat teretz, I guess that's what they wanted. Oman's foreign minister, the one who was actually doing the negotiations, Jared Kushner and Steve Witkoff were both saying, listen, we got to do this. We got to show the world at least we're doing something. Let's play the game. Let's go back and forth in Geneva. We'll go to the Alps a little bit. We'll enjoy ourselves, and we'll have some talks, and then we'll go back home, and then we'll do the story. Yeah, exactly. They have to. So the kid said he's.
No, but that was right. It was actually very important. Again, Trump's base to get a justification.
Exactly. Active and serious negotiations have yet been undermined. Said Albus. Whatever. Anyway, United Nations. United Nations. So who needs to hear them? As always, in any armed conflict, it's if civilians end up paying the ultimate price. He said in a statement on Saturday, "I call for resistance and improve all." Where is the United Nations when 32,000 civilians got killed and more got hung by the regime? Now they're coming out.
That's a good question.
Unbelievable. Ukraine. Zelensky said.
Which
Albania,
country?
Hungary, Kuwait, everyone. So Tyler Oliveira, basically, he came to Muncie again and Lakewood, right? And what did he do? He uploaded a video and proudly announced that he uncovered the Jewish fraud and the scams and stuff. Okay, so we're not here to obviously tell him, Tyler, don't do this again. No. We don't care. You can do whatever you want. You know, you can come to Muncie, Lakewood. You can start doing all your stupid videos that you do. I don't care. You know, I like you when you do videos, and you actually. I like a person when you sleep. Yeah. No, but when a person does videos normally, like the truth, you actually. But
when
you're
interested for the truth, then you're welcome.
But people have told you the truth, and you didn't use those clips. You just cut out the pieces that are not true. Now, I'm not angry at you. You know why? Because you made yourself. You're the only fool here. You made yourself look like a fool. You know why? I have a few things to say. Shragi, what do you say about this? First of all, the taxes. He claims that that why should we, U.S. people, why should we pay taxpayer money to fund your children? You have 12, 15 kids, and we should pay you? Guess what, Tyler? Shragi, what do you think? Who do you think builds the economy that pays these taxes?
I think you said it all. I think the point is, when you come here and you're really interested to learn and just understand how the Orthodox community operates and blah, 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 sure. And if anybody's going to ask me, is there fraud in the Jewish community? I'll ask him, is there fraud in other communities?
Right.
And the answer would be, yes, there's a minority. There's always going to be. It's always going to exist, yeah?
Right, fraud's always and no one's perfect.
We're not different, yeah?
Right.
But when you come and the title of your video is basically as if you take a whole community and you put them all in the same exact category. Like, the reason why we live is for fraud. Like, this is what we do for a living. That's not true. And it's not only not true, it's very, very far from the truth.
Blasphemy.
When people ask like the Jews control the world and they have so much money, from where's the money coming from? What I always answer is, first of all, thanks for the compliment. Yeah, we work hard, and when you work hard, there's going to be positive results.
Right.
So rather than spending your time to bash a certain community, how about you go and you do the same?
Yeah.
Start working, you make money.
Start working.
And by the way, Tyler, for example, the whole concept of his video is what? For him to make money, to get clicks, yeah?
That's what he's doing.
And he is doing it to paint a false picture as if he figured something out.
Which he obviously didn't.
When the reason why he is wrong, is literally because of what he is doing. You're doing it to make money, and Jews are working and they make money.
Right.
That's how it works.
Yes.
1 + 1 = 2.
Yes. And also we have a big economy. We have a big economy for ourselves, and the money. You know, everyone, myself, my friends, as homeowners, we pay a ton of taxes here. To what? To fund the public schools. We fund our taxpayer money funds things that for everyone else. And yes, we fund ourselves as well.
It's very simple.
It's very simple.
When your air conditioner breaks down, for example, who do you call? Your Jewish friend.
Somebody does it. Exactly.
Okay, we are a community that we support each other. Automatically, people make a lot of money.
Exactly.
That's 1 + 1. That's how it works. And if they want, they're welcome to. There's no copyright.
Yeah, and you know what?
They should the exact same thing.
Tyler and other people should thank us, because that's why they're able to get services from the government.
Somebody asked me if I think he's an anti-Semite. I said, anti-Semite I can't confirm, but stupid definitely.
Exactly. It's like Tucker Carlson, same idea. You said it before. Anyway, whatever. We spoke about it before, but the point is
there's really there's no point of the whole anti-Semite. Like, you are an anti-Semite, you're not an anti-Semite.
Yeah.
Like, what's the point?
Exactly.
If he isn't, he's talking nonsense. Next. That's what matters.
He lost it. The point is that his sponsor. He lost the sponsorship on this thingy. Anyway, and with that, I want to thank my sponsors, YS Capital Group. I want to what's it called again? Protobytes. Yes, and then we have Klieger, we have YS Capital Group. Thank you so much, YS. Everyone knows the number already. Arrive Express. Thank you so much, all of you, and have a wonderful, 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 wonderful Vach. Hatzlacha Rabba.
Your daily report of the news of the last 24 hours, powered by Yiddish24, provided to you by The Click.